Okay, I have my little clock so I know when it's 9.5 minutes and I can shut off and start again. Today we're going to talk about something that I've meant to talk about for a long time. A lot of people, and I myself am obviously one of them, have talked about deadly force. What is deadly force? When do you do deadly force? When do you not do deadly force? Retreat, things of that nature. But one thing people didn't talk about, and I should have talked about it a while ago, but I'm going to talk about it now, is what do I do in the aftermath of deadly force? Okay, now first and foremost, let's start off again with deadly force. Deadly force is any act that is likely to cause death, serious injury, life-altering injury, or loss of bodily function. And examples of deadly force I have in a video that no one pays attention to. I talk about self-defense, one of my very early videos. You can look for it. I go into detail about deadly force and self-defense. This is another clock that is much louder. Yes. The other clock is silent and this one's on. Ugh. Okay, deadly force is examples. Shooting. Whether you're shooting someone in the foot with a BB gun or in the head with a 500 Magnum, it's deadly force. Stabbing, slicing, cutting, using any edge weapon is deadly force. A baton. A baton in the arm or the leg is not deadly force. But a baton in the head is deadly force because the brain is the brain is the body's computer, and by bashing someone in the head, you can disrupt their brain function and really fuck them up, if not kill them. Drowning someone is deadly force. Running someone over with your car is deadly force. Strangling, choking, breaking the neck is deadly force. Hitting someone in the spinal cord with a very hard object is deadly force. So these are examples of deadly force. And yes, in many jurisdictions, kicking someone in the balls is deadly force because if you kick someone hard enough, you can inflict serious injury on them. And if you kick them hard enough, you can render them sterile. And that's loss of bodily function. By law, whether you are a police officer or a citizen, you may only use deadly force as an absolute last resort, and if you have absolutely no choice whatsoever. And there is always an investigation to discover whether or not you yourself were justified in what you did. There's questions that have to be answered, forms must be filled out, statements must be made. It's very, very complicated, and every jurisdiction is different. Now, the first thing that they consider when you use deadly force, the very first question they ask is, was it your last option? If it's not your last option, you got a problem, you're going to be charged with a crime. And that's the original clock. That apparently is on too. The second question they ask is, if you used the weapon, was it legal? Your weapon has to be legal. In New York State, having a switchblade is an automatic crime. So if someone in New York State is being strangled to death and they pull out a switchblade and stab their attempted murderer, the law will say, yes, you were right to stab him because they were going to kill you, but because you had an illegal weapon, you're charged with a first-degree misdemeanor. The gun. In New York State, possession of any illegal gun is automatically 3 years in prison. So if you use an illegal gun to shoot someone, even though the investigation says you're correct, you're still wrong for having a gun, and you're still going to do 3 years in prison for the gun. Other aspects. Tampering with evidence. You may not tamper. You may not put a weapon in the guy's hand. You may not bribe witnesses. You may not intimidate witnesses. You may not do this. If you do it, you will be charged. Okay, and obviously the first thing is, was the assault against you 100% unprovoked beyond all question? All question. That means, if you did something to instigate the assault, the fight, the argument, you yourself might be charged with a crime. That's why I always say walk away. Get up and walk away. Especially if you have a weapon on your body. Get up and walk away. If you call a woman a whore and her boyfriend pulls out a knife on you and you bash him in the head with a bottle, the investigation will say, yes, he's wrong for pulling a knife on you. And yes, you're right to defend yourself. However, if you didn't talk to his girlfriend like that, you wouldn't have the problem in the first place. We're talking unprovoked assault. Unprovoked. The guy attacked you without any reason whatsoever, and you had no choice but to defend yourself. That's it. Now, once again, another aspect, the police and the law would always prefer, no matter who you are, that you give the person the option to walk away if it is possible. And one good example, I saw a video of a police officer, and he was in a parking lot settling an argument with somebody, and some guy had too much to drink, and the guy started walking towards him in a threatening manner. And this is what the cop did, and this is very good. The cop, I don't have a gun here, I don't want to show you. The cop touched his gun, and the cop took a step back, and the cop said to him, do not make me do this. Do not make me do this. Back away. I will kill you. Back away. And eventually some other guys got their heads together and they came over and they tackled the guy and the cop handcuffed him. So if it's entirely possible, you have to give the person the option to retreat. If the guy's in your home, he comes in your home, he's there to hurt you, what do? You pull out the gun, you point it at him, and you say, get out of my house right now. Leave the house right now. I will hurt you. I will defend myself. Leave the house right now. Give him the option to retreat. That way you can always say later, hey, I obeyed the law. So always, if it's possible, give them an option to retreat. If it's not possible, if the guy springs at you really fast, then you have no choice. Now, there's two locations you might want to use that you might have to use deadly force in. Oh, I have to mention also, the odds of you being involved in a deadly situation are like 1 in 20, is either 1 in 10,000 or 1 in 20,000. It's not likely to happen. But if it does happen, you watch this video, you know what to do after the fact. Now let's say you're using deadly force outside of the home. You could be on the street, you could be in the mall, you could be whatever. But someone is attacking you outside of your home. Now, 90% of the United States requires by law that you retreat as soon as possible. And even in the states that require you not to retreat, because I've heard a lot of guys say, in my state I can chase the guy. Fine. You might want to retreat. You ever watch Real Sports with Brian Gumbel? I saw it yesterday afternoon. Boxer Vernon Forrest. He was robbed at gunpoint. And he had a legally owned gun on him. And after he was robbed, and it's on surveillance camera, he pulled out his legally owned gun, ran after the guy got away, he gave up the pursuit, and after he gave up the pursuit, another guy came and shot him and killed him. And that guy is believed to be the robber's lookout guy or accomplice or some shit like that. So even if you can legally advance, maybe you should just retreat anyway for your own safety. Especially if you're responsible for other people, like children, your girlfriend, your grandmother, okay? You should retreat as soon as possible. We're on, I think, 9 minutes or so. I'm going to stop and I'm going to do it again. Hold on a minute.